Ian Hudson, when did your parents come to Harlow?
It was October 1964. My father was a manager at the Labour Exchange, as it was then called, in Basildon, and got promoted to the one in Harlow. So my sister, mother and father moved to Orchard Croft in about October 64.
How can you remember it was October?
I was a month late for school, so all the others had started, and I was the one that walked into class with the shorts and the cap, which my mother insisted I wore. And of course, no other child in the school would even think about wearing a cap. So that was the mickey taken at me for about the first term. But it's a great school, Netswell. It was run by a headmaster who was very much the old school, and he was trying to instill a grammar school ethos in a comprehensive school, and did a pretty good job.
Can you remember physically moving? And if so, what memories do you have?
That's a good question. No, I guess seeing the three-storey house at Orchard Croft was an unusual experience. I'd never lived in a house with a sort of washing machine and things downstairs, and then lounge on the first floor, and then go upstairs again to the bedroom. That was unusual. I remember being able to look out the window onto the Stowe playing fields and watching football matches in what was then one of the biggest recreational leagues in the country. One or two famous players will appear there later, but one childhood memory is the pitches being surrounded by mothers and fathers screaming at their kids and the referee, and the mothers, I remember, were far worse than the fathers. Some of the things they used to shout to encourage their kids and tell the referee how he should be running the game. I should never forget some of those matches.
So we've established that enthusiastic parents on the sidelines is not something just
nothing new.
Invented.
It was happening 50 years ago.
And what were your impressions? Were you pleased to be moving to this new town?
Yeah, I loved Harlow. I loved the green spaces. School obviously was the main focal point of the first few years. Eric Bramfitt was the headmaster, and he was a scary man. You didn't cross Eric Bramfitt. Just about, I think the slipper was just about still going in the 60s, probably being phased out, but no one had told him that. Board rubbers were also quite a common weapon being used to, shall we say, alert those that weren't paying attention. It was very much a non-politically correct time. Particularly remember the music centre or music hall, which used to be called the Pepper Pot. And it was fascinating just in the last year or so that I was able to help get some of the glass from that iconic building to go into one of the trophies, one of the awards for the Architectural Design Awards, which an artist has made up in Parndon Mill. So that was sort of linking the old with the new, which was good. Played a lot of sport at Netswell, football and rugby mostly. Dislocated my shoulder playing rugby, and then took up hockey and played in goal for Harlow Hockey Club for a few years, which was great fun. High point was going on a tour to Yorkshire and actually beating Sheffield. From Little Harlow to beat Sheffield was quite something. So they were good days, yeah, good days.
And that's what you're focused on very much there, that there was lots of opportunity. You moved to Harlow, and in all sorts of aspects, lots of opportunities.
Yeah, I think so. There seemed to be lots going on, lots to do, not just at school but in evenings as well. Weekends, we started a football club as part of that recreational league called Stowe United, I think we were called. I think we lost our first game about 7-2 and didn't really improve very much, but had a great time playing with friends and just going out of the house onto the field and kicking the ball around. They were good times.
And likewise, I can sort of physically picture Orchard Croft to Netswell. Was it also nice to be able to just walk to school and walk back again?
Up the cycle track, so hardly saw any traffic. I think I cycled quite a lot to school. Pretty safe, really. The odd road to cross, but okay, there was less traffic around in those days, but it was still a pretty safe environment. Netswell was a sort of school with lots of after-school activities going on, whether it was drama or music or whatever. Particularly remember a performance of Oliver, must have been about 70 or 71, which was well received and has still mentioned on the odd Facebook group now as we speak. I think I was the innkeeper. I seem to remember denting my father's treasured beer mug, but it was good fun.
And did your parents enjoy moving to Harlow?
Yeah, I think so. Obviously, my father was running the Labour Exchange, which he enjoyed doing.
And I think we might need to explain to some people what
Labour Exchange. So I suppose nowadays it would be called the Job Centre. So it was where people went who were unemployed, and the objective was to try to point them in the right direction to find a job. Unemployment, I seem to remember, was pretty low in those days, so I'm not sure that he had that much work to do. But like any age or era, there are always some people that it's more difficult to find work for, and that was really what that particular institution was about. My mother became a ward hostess at the hospital, Princess Alexandra Hospital, one of the first ones. That was the concept of having non-clinical staff being able to look after patients and leave the nurses free to do the nursing, and that seemed to go very well. There was a group of them that were very well received, and can't for the life of me think why they've dropped that sort of service, because it was a win-win. The people offering the service got a lot out of it, and the people receiving it were well looked after.
And being so close to the Stowe, do you recall many of the shops in the Stowe? Yes,
I worked as a paper boy in one of them, Harrison's. I remember, what was the name of the guy? Bert somebody. Had a Lotus Cortina, which I coveted. And I had a paper round for a few years, and then worked on a Saturday morning in the shop on the sweet counter. What else do I remember? There was a greengrocer, probably two greengrocers. It was a very vibrant area. We did most of our shopping there. The Stowe, which is intended to be, was the local area for shopping, and that's where virtually all of our shopping happened. Good variety of shops. Harrison's is the one I remember.
Was the Essex Skipper your first pint?
Do you know, it wasn't, funnily enough. No, it was the nearest, but the Cock at Parndon was where we used to go. I think probably because it was far enough away from home not to get caught, maybe. But that was a...
Why would somebody want to catch somebody over the age of 18?
Well, I may not have quite been 18, I have to be honest. Maybe a year or two younger. But no, for some reason that was the hostelry of choice for my year group at Netswell, and there were quite a few quite late walks home from there, I seem to remember.
Do you think the people who were interviewing in the 60s will have sort of similar shared experiences?
Yeah, I think you'll find that the community spirit that obviously started in the late 40s when the town was built carried on and was still very much part of the town in the 60s. That's the overriding sort of memory I have, I guess, of friendliness, loads going on, very much feeling part of a vibrant town. Maybe we've lost some of that in the last 10-15 years, but certainly in those days it was a great place to grow up.